Hey, everybody. Welcome back to what is now kind of it's almost a new segment because it's been so long since
It
I've
has
done
been a
one.
while.
Oh my goodness. But yes, we are back with Channel Chat. And look who is with me. We have Andy from RoseCraft Blades. Now, I looked back and believe it or not, you're not the last Channel Chat I did, but I think you're this next to last.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're kind of almost picking up where I left off with Channel Chat.
Good.
I'm pretty
So we
sure,
haven't done these in a while?
Andy, I have. Well, I mean, let's be honest. Let's be honest. You know what it took for you and I to get,
Oh, sure.
you know, that was a big, and the last time I did one, I scheduled one with somebody like 4 or 5 times because my work schedule is opposite of pretty much everyone else out there,
Hmm.
and it made it hard. And I was making it work, and I mean, I got through 51 of them,
Right.
but that was sacrificing some time on the weekends that I have with Nelly, and that's I didn't want it to do that.
Right.
I,
Right.
I really didn't, because
Uh,
weekends are the only times we get together.
Right.
And it just got to be where it was starting to encroach too much.
That makes
And
sense.
I'm like, and I've been wanting to get back into it for a long time. And of course, Pocket Razors invited me to do his I was on episode 2 of his Pocket Talk,
Hmm.
and it really inspired me to get back into it. And now, of course, can you hear that?
I can. I can.
Sorry. Yeah. Dude, like I said, life is just gonna happen. I knew the minute they
I
said,
knew you were a robot.
I knew the minute they said they were gonna be here on Monday, I'm like, and see, it took so much to get this scheduled, and now we have this. I'm
Hey,
like,
we're gonna roll with it. We're
yeah, I
gonna
am.
roll with
I
it.
am.
We're gonna make
Like I
it
said,
happen.
life happens. It's just
Like,
gonna
guys,
happen.
if you don't know out there on this video, I've got a plumber 2 rooms over drilling a hole in a wall, and JB's got people working on his gutters. So we're just rolling with it. If you hear
Hell yeah.
gutter people and gutter people,
Yeah,
that's weird.
well, yeah.
If you hear guys working on a gutter or you
There you
hear
go.
some kind of sawing into a wall, just know we're okay. We're just
Yeah.
gonna keep going with this.
Oh my goodness. But hey, we're doing it. We're doing it. This
That's
is what it
right.
takes, doing it. So, yes, so now you and I are sitting here, we're doing a channel chat, and I really hope to keep it rolling because these are really fun.
Oh yeah,
These are
yeah.
super fun to do. And people ask me, why don't, because you were just on a live stream, and they're like, well, why don't you do something like that? And I'm like, honestly, because it's hard for me, because I'm trying to pay attention to the chat. I'm trying to pay attention
Right.
to the person I'm speaking with, and I just kind of I get lost sometimes.
Yeah, no, I'm the same exact way. I cannot watch a chat and do a live talk at the same time. That's why Jalen is always watching the chat for me. And then the
Yeah,
guys usually that host the live chats usually have a couple of admins that are paying more attention
yeah,
to or they're usually partnered up somehow that
yeah.
one guy can watch the thing. Because it's next to impossible. I cannot read the chat. And, I have to sound out all the words, JB.
Oh, I know. Me too. I'm with you. I'm with you. Or I got to break out the readers and go, what
Oh
is
yeah, yeah,
it?
yeah. No, so you see the glasses are off. That's so I can see the little screen that's in front of me right now. And it's sad when you have to take your glasses off to actually see something up close.
Yeah, and well, I think Nelly, I think she's got, what does she have? 2 or 3 different pairs? She's like, and then she'll take them off to do just that, right? And I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I thought you needed glasses to see. And she's like, well, I need these for this and these for this. And
There's
it's like,
this distance for small things that we have to get inside of without any glasses.
oh my
With the
goodness.
glasses, it's just a total blur.
Yeah.
Hey, before we jump into the rest of this, let's hit at the beginning because I don't want people to miss it if they check out. Blade Show, Atlanta,
Yeah.
June 7th through the 9th. Are you coming?
I will be. I will be there. I'll be there Friday and Saturday. Um, I don't know about Sunday. My flight does leave later on
Yeah.
Sunday. So
Sunday's always a weird wash anyway, right? It is the last remnants of a great weekend.
yeah. So I will definitely be there Friday and Saturday.
Awesome.
And of course, probably be hanging out in the pit a little bit,
Awesome. Well,
seeing
we have
people.
But we're back in booth 1618. We are still the pit sponsors this year, so you'll see that all done up with our new stuff. We're taking the Tennessee sticker. If you didn't get one of those in the mix, we are bringing the Tennessee sticker to give away, and it is the shape of Tennessee. I think it's on my cup. Hang on. It's that one
Yeah,
right there. It's the shape of Tennessee with RoseCraft and us on the map right there in Tennessee
nice.
on that sticker. If you purchase from us, and we'll have everything, including like a hell of a great discount table for discontinued items.
Okay.
If you purchase anything from us, you're going to get the new 2024 challenge coin, brand
Oh,
new for
okay.
this year. So everybody's going to get one of those. But we're at booth 1618. If you have, I know you've been to the show a million times, but folks, if you haven't been to the show, if you walk in the main doors and you take an immediate right and you go around the edge of the wall, you cannot miss us. You're going to run right into the RoseCraft booth just by going to the right. You're going to pass like Benchmade. You're going to pass probably oh my gosh, who are the guys that are now making whiskey and coffee in the corner there? It's a fixed blade company. Why am I losing my mind?
Not
I think
Tops.
no,
No.
no. Tops is always over in the middle.
Yeah.
I can't think of who this is. If I'll remember it at some point in this. But if you keep going, you're going to Kershaw, and I think Kershaw's still right beside us. So
So are you basically in the same spot you have been?
we are exact same
Okay.
spot we've been in. A
Okay.
double booth at 1618.
No,
Yep.
that may help the people that have been there before, but those that have not.
Yeah,
But
and
it
look for
helps
the
me.
big
It
sign.
helps me. So
Right. Look for the big RoseCraft sign hanging above us too. That'll help you out. Big red RoseCraft
absolutely,
sign. Awesome.
absolutely. So well, cool. Yes, I am very much looking forward to Blade Show. It's always a fun time, and you guys, it's really cool that you guys are sponsoring the pit. That's really
So
cool.
do you know what I think is fun about Blade Show? And I have to tell this people who have never gone. It is the amount of people that you can talk to, that you can meet, that you can have a good casual conversation with in the industry that you might have never thought that you were going to talk to.
Right.
I'll give a great example that just can't happen anymore now because rest in peace, Tony Bose is gone. But at one point, I looked up and found my wife and Swags both talking to Tony Bose and Ken Onion at the exact same time
Yeah.
outside the thing. And I'm like, I'm joining that conversation. So just the amount of people that you never thought you might meet that you can meet at Blade Show, and just the relationships that you can form with a maker that you like. It's always great. I love to talk to people at these shows. I've come to find that after having done now West and Texas twice, and now Blade Show many times in Atlanta, is that I'll have the same people come to me and say, "Hey," and they're going to every show, and I think that is awesome. I mean, it's really a support thing for the community.
Well, last year I got one bucket list item I made it to all 3 Blade shows.
Nice.
That was a bucket list. Did that.
Nice.
This year, if everything goes, I'll make bucket list 2.0 and I'll make it to SHOT Show and all 3 Blade shows.
Nice.
So since we're
Nice.
talking about shows, okay, I want to ask you a couple questions about them.
Sure.
Large shows, small shows. What do you think?
We're only doing Blade shows right now, but we're looking at doing a couple more large shows. And at some point down the road, I know we'll find ourselves at SHOT. Just because if we just grow at a normal pace that we've been growing and we keep growing, we'll have to be at SHOT. There's just no choice in that matter. That is where, if you're not familiar with SHOT, it is not it's not a consumer show.
No.
It is a dealer show. It is a show where people come in and to learn about a product and buy it for their business. So we will get there at some point. We've not done any smaller shows. Well, I'll take that back. We've done events, but we've not done smaller shows. Red Hill Cutlery puts on a good Bourbon and Blades event. He's one of our qualified RoseCraft dealers. He's up in Kentucky. We did that last year. We're going to do it again in September. It was a very fun event. If you've never heard of that, or if you're in that area in September, go to it because he has a great selection in the store, but they're giving free concerts on the ground. So it's like people in country music and all of that are giving concerts on the grounds, and it's their big celebration each year. Yeah,
So
it's called Bourbon and Blades.
So we're not talking local bands. We're talking about
No, I would say that there are some local bands that
sure,
play,
sure.
but there are some known artists that play. I couldn't tell you who's on the list this year, but there
Okay.
is. I mean, last year there was a known artist as well, and I didn't get to partake in that. We had to drive back home to Knoxville, but it's fun, and people come out and they check out the knives in the shop. They eat some food on the lawn, then they go watch some cool shows.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
I can, I got to go to SHOT Show through the whole media thing, right? Sign up through
Hmm.
media and I got to go. I'll tell you that I really enjoyed SHOT Show
Hmm.
because I mean, especially when we're talking like Blade Show Atlanta,
Hmm.
there's a lot of people. There's
Yes.
a lot of people. And trust me, there is a lot of people at SHOT Show, but there's no way they could open it to the public. It's not even there's no way.
No, I've
But
been many times, and it is a massive show.
But from my viewpoint, I really, really enjoyed SHOT Show because I was able to speak, to the exhibitors
Hmm.
um for a long time
Hmm.
without people, because like when
They're
we're
not
at a Blade
selling,
Show, well, that absolutely,
right?
but like at Blade Show, when I'm talking to you, if somebody comes up and wants, I don't want to take you away from that. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yes.
And with SHOT Show, there wasn't really any of that. And that was, I mean,
No.
it was good from my standpoint. Put it
Right.
that
Right.
way. It was great
Right.
from my standpoint. I got the opportunity to talk to a lot of manufacturers, and it did some good things for the channel. Let's be honest. It was really, really
Excellent.
awesome.
Excellent. That's always
So,
good.
and I mean, now when you're talking blade shows, you got Atlanta. Atlanta is
Hmm.
the pinnacle.
Hmm.
What do you think about Texas? I think Texas is on the
Texas,
rise.
it's growing. I love going to Texas, and I would go again in a heartbeat. The people love us there in Texas. We always do good on sales while we're there, and they come and they stand and talk to us and tell stories. And I've had a blast in Texas. And I don't mean this to sound derogatory at all, but when I thought of going to Texas not last year, but the first time we went, I thought we would hit that moment where, oh, your product is manufactured in China. I thought we would come up against that a lot, and that does happen at shows. People want to tell you that. People don't want to hear that. It didn't happen at all in Texas. I think I had one person this year in Texas who did it. I have way more people do that to me in Atlanta than they
Sure.
did in Texas, which was a little shocking, to be honest. So I love going to Texas. Of course, we have Sydney Templeton, who'll be with us again in Atlanta, but she's local there, and oh my God, it's Dallas Fort Worth, Arlington. She's in
Mm.
Arlington.
Okay,
So she
okay,
comes out to the show for us, and that's where we first got to meet her, was in Texas. And this time we got
okay.
to go to her little ranch and watch her ride her barrel racing horse. So that was kind
Mhm.
of fun.
Oh,
That was
cool.
kind of a lot of fun.
And I
But
don't
yeah,
think and I don't think Utah or Blade Show West, excuse me, don't think that's ever gonna be on the level. I think it's probably about max. In my That's just my opinion.
yeah,
I mean, it might grow a little, but I think West will never be as big as Texas, or I mean, it certainly won't be as big as Atlanta. There's not even, but
yeah.
I don't
I
even think
think
it'll come close to Texas.
everybody who's in the industry who is selling should shoot their shot and take a shot at Salt Lake in West. We did it last year for the first time. We won't be doing it this year.
Okay.
And So we'll be doing Texas and Atlanta this year, and hopefully another show that we're trying to get into that's outside of the Blade mix. But um, yeah, it's different. It's very different from Texas and very different from Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to say it's bad. It wasn't bad. It was just a very different crowd. It's a very different place, and just very different.
Salt Lake's a very beautiful city. I
Oh,
love
for
Salt Lake.
sure. And we
And if
did
you
the
want to,
drive.
take a vacation,
Yep.
you could like go to You could go to Blade Show West and then go see all the wonders of Utah because southern Utah is absolutely magnificent.
Now, Joanne and
The
I
national
drove
parks
to
and
that show, and we drove all the way from Knoxville all the way
that's
to Salt
right.
Lake City and all the way back, and we had a blast. And we stopped. We drove to 6 to 8 hours a day, and basically stopped each night along the way in different spots. So you're talking about stopping in Illinois, Nebraska, Wyoming, and then Salt Lake, and then we went down the other way around back. So we went
Okay.
back through Colorado and down through the top of Oklahoma and Texas,
Sure.
across back to get to Tennessee, and we saw a lot of amazing things that we've never seen before. A lot of parts of the country. I mean, come on, we tried to stop to get gas in Nebraska, and it put us off in an exit where the gas station had closed, and then it says make this. The GPS, of course, tells you to turn right, get back to the interstate here. We turn right, we go down this dirt road that is nothing but cornfields right and left, and we do that for about a mile and a half, and then suddenly we're back at the interstate. But I have never, I would have never believed in my whole world that you could go into a state and smell corn in the air as soon as you came in. But you can. You can go into Nebraska, driving down the interstate, you're like, that's corn. I know what a cornfield smells like. That is corn and a half right there. So I mean, it was
Speaking
fun.
speaking of which, I'll probably be there in about a week and a half.
Nice.
That was
That was my
funny. You
first time.
messaged me. You messaged me and said, "Hey, we're in your homeland." That was funny. That was
Yep.
funny. And you're
Yep.
like, "There's nothing but corn," and I'm like, "Yeah, welcome to Nebraska."
Yeah, we had a good time though. We ate some good food right there, and wherever, whatever city the University of Nebraska is in,
Lincoln,
we
Lincoln.
Lincoln. So we stopped. That's where we stayed in Lincoln, and we went down to the square there where they have like the old city area near the campus,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
and had a great time that night at one of the restaurants. So it was
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, it's a nice place down there.
And we
Absolutely.
would have not done that were it not for Blade Show.
Yeah. There you go. You would never would have seen Lincoln, Nebraska. Now, let's just not a lot to see in Lincoln, but hey,
I mean, we were only there for about 10 hours, so
yeah. And slept for most of it, right?
that's true. But the
So there
part
you
that
go.
we were awake, it was great.
There you go. Right on. Very cool. Very cool. So cool. Yes, definitely looking forward to Blade Show. That is always a like I said, I am going to Nebraska first, so I'll be there for a little while and then head out to Atlanta, but I'm definitely looking forward. And there again, it's just, yes, seeing you guys, seeing the knives, all that good stuff, but it's normal. It ends up more being about the people. It
Yeah, for
really
sure.
does. I maybe do half the recording I think I'm going to do because I just end up talking to people, which that's just
Isn't that always the case? I mean, I
yeah,
have that tendency too. I could not, as RoseCraft, I had that in first year. I intended to do a ton of social media. I just couldn't do it.
yeah,
I was talking to way too many people,
yeah.
and Swags thought she could do it last year. She found herself in the exact same spot I was in, which was to you just end up talking to people, and the camera goes away, and you forget about it, and you have a great time while you're there. I will tell you that I have squirreled away a lot of this stuff that's sold out to bring it to Atlanta. So
Okay.
things like the Cane Creek Jack, things like the Savage Creek Gunstock, things like the NOLA Chucky Jack and the Briar Patch Jack. I have squirreled those things away from our other stock so that people in Atlanta could buy if they wanted to, and we could show it to the general population before the reorders would come in. So they are
Excellent.
going to be there, including the brand new Beaver Creek Barlow that just dropped today, which is the we had the Bourbon Bone come back, and then of course I've got the gray version here, just dropped for the very first time today.
I, I've got the
Yep,
other one.
there we go. Yep, there we go. Dueling knives right here. These turned out great. I'm always impressed by the smoky gray bone. Somehow it looks, every one of them's different, and they all have like a wispy kind of, I don't know. Sometimes they have a blue tick hound coat feel. Sometimes they have a wispy smoke feel, but they're all just slightly different because they're taking on the natural tendency of the bone. Oh yeah,
There, I've got
yeah.
the
Yours has waves in it. Yeah, that's
oh yeah,
sweet.
it's freaking cool. I love the way this turned out.
I tell you a funny story about these. When we're checking them in, it's me and Lynn, and usually another person trying to check all these in and make sure they meet QC standards to go out to you all. We pull a lot to the side that we don't want you to have, and then those go on in seconds. We'll probably talk about that a little bit in a
Oh,
minute.
we will
But
definitely talk about that.
but on these, like ones Jalen hates, I love,
Oh,
and
really?
sometimes the ones she hates, I love, or they're the opposite way around. So
Right.
it's just there's just certain ones because I think that's ugly. I'm like, oh no, that's fantastic. So I
That's
think
funny.
that's cool for our consumers to get. Everybody's just going to be different.
Sure.
And of course, we have that 30-day satisfaction guarantee. So if you don't like the one that you got, hit us back up and send it back to us, and we'll replace it with one that you probably will like better.
There you
So
go.
that's always out there. But we did squirrel away that stuff. You are going to be able to get it at Blade Show. We do have one huge surprise that's happening at Blade Show. I cannot let it out yet. I love when JB
I like surprises.
feigns surprises because he's seen it.
I like
He
surprises.
might be bribable at this point. You never know. But yeah, there's a big surprise, and I have not let out this to hardly anybody. And these guys have been great about keeping a good secret. But probably right before the show, I will let that cat out of the bag so that
Okay.
people come. It's going to be on the cover of the Blade Show program. We got that again this year,
Oh, okay.
so it will get people's attention. But I can say this about it, and you having seen it, you've seen me play with it in the video. It is probably the most fidget friendly knife that I have ever designed. It is fun. It's just a nice little knife, and it's a different direction than we've gone so far.
Yeah.
And I think people are really going to like it.
Good.
But yeah, you only got to wait. I think we're within 3 weeks now of Blade Show, so not long at all till that comes out. What else was I
Fantastic.
going to say about the things that are coming? Just in general talk, we're shopping around fixed blades right now. I
Okay.
have had
Okay.
some protos made by a USA maker. I have had some protos made by an import maker. We are trying to find the right mix for our fixed blades, and you might find both in the mix. And I would say hopefully we would have those by Christmas or first of the year 2025.
Oh, okay.
So we're trying to
There you
bring
go.
those into the mix as well. I think they fit well with the traditionals that are out there. I also know that just this morning, cross fingers that they get here in time, there'll be 3 new moderns that show up. One from Swags, one from Chase, and one from Hawkins that
Oh,
will likely be at the Blade Show, if not in sample form. They will be ready to be purchased at the show. Swags has stepped out of her comfort range and designed something that is not like anything else she's done, and it's fantastic in hand. The action is
cool.
great on it. Hawkins made a very sleek button lock knife that I can't wait for everybody to see. And then Chase has made a knife that I think that you could probably use camping, but it's also a button lock, and it's a big daddy knife, and it is. I don't know. I can't let too much about it. I'll start showing them as soon
Sure.
as we get them in house. But they're
Sure.
on the way too, and hopefully
Excellent.
we have them for Blade Show.
Nice. Very good. Well, you've kind of almost segued me twice. Now you talk about squirreling stuff away, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's talk about the vault because we've been hearing a little bit more about that recently.
Right. So one of the things that we wanted to do when we first started this, there are really 2 models out there, and I'm sure you're familiar with the models that are out there. You can go the Case model, and Case does this is one handle material. Here's every pattern we've ever dreamed of, my +3, and we're going to make these all that handle material. Then we have a GEC model, and they've done it very well with GEC. Is to say, here's a knife, this is a pattern, and we're going to give it to you in this handle material.
Good.
And if this handle material works, we're going to bring it to you in another handle material.
Sure.
If this pattern works under this brand, we're going to bring it under this brand. We have leaned more towards the GEC model when we got into this,
Okay.
just thinking that it was better for collectability, that it was better for us to dip our toe in the market just to feel where things were going. And so along with that, we've kind of adopted the opposite things model to say, here's a briar patch jack. If we sold this thing and we got through 2 rounds or more, that's pretty much out there in the market. Let's bring it back in a whole new style, and let's put this style in the vault. And it's going to stay there for at least a year. At least a year, you're not going to be able to get it in the smoky gray bone. You're going to be able to get it in something else if we bring it back. I'll give you a great example of that. I asked you if you had your Lusahatchee Jack. Do you have that with you?
I do, right here.
We have sold a ton of these. It's been one of our best-selling knives. It is the bourbon bone version with dragon scales. That knife in your hand, that style of Lusahatchee Jack, is going to the vault. In fact, it's already in the vault because I don't have any more to sell. If you're
Okay.
hunting these down, find them on the secondary market. I don't even think dealers have them at this point. I don't think anybody has these left out there for you. However, in transit right now, I have a red sandalwood and a yellow sandalwood version of the Lusahatchee Jack coming, and they're gorgeous. So the pattern itself isn't gone. The style of that pattern is gone. And if we look down the list of those, and I can give you some pictures of what's coming in, but the Ocoee Jack, the Ocoee River Kayak, I'm sorry, is going to the vault, but only in the red apple smooth bone. It's coming back in stabilized wood with red resin or stabilized wood with blue resin, that half and half handle material. French Broadjack should come at the end of the month. It is going in the red apple bone into the vault. It is coming back in black sandalwood and red sandalwood, and that's a gorgeous looking pair right there. What else is coming back? Zambezi is a little bit down the road, but we're going to bring it in blue micarta and bring it in rosewood. And I think there's something else that I'm missing, but I'll think of it. I'll give you a picture so you can see everything that's coming back in. But anything that those are replacing, anything those are knocking out, are going into the vault. Now, there are a couple other patterns that are going completely in the vault and are not being reordered at this moment. The surgeon's knife, the Holston Ridge surgeon's knife, is going to the vault. It is not being reordered at this point. So we'll hold that one until we get some people more interested again, trying to find the old ones and all of that. The Riverbend Skinner, which is the large version of the little Riverbend Skinner, is going in the vault as well, and probably won't make a return for another 1 to 2 years. And that one might come back with a little bit different style blade. I keep thinking that I should do a full grind on that blade rather than a saber grind. And I think people might like it just a little bit better. But that's the case. We're not hiding anything from you forever, and we're really not going the full Disney Vault kind of marketing ploy. We're just introducing new patterns, and instead of carrying this massive load of all these things in the same shop, this one's going to go away for a little while, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, and then we'll bring it back, and that kind of thing. So, and really, things that get reordered all depend on how well you all like the new stuff that comes out. That's probably the most important thing to it. So anything that's new that gets purchased up quick, like that Nolichucky Jack went in 2 days, and thankfully I have more of it coming at the end of this month. Yeah, that thing was going across the entire country. The UK was the only people that had it, and it was going in 2 days across the entire country from all of our qualified dealers. I've got more of those coming in right now. They ship today, and hopefully I'll have them for Blade Show. Cross your fingers. But yeah, those are coming back in. Not a ton of them, but they are coming back in. So just the more you all buy, the better off you are of seeing a round 2 of it, a second reorder, and the more you are of seeing it come out in different handle materials, if that makes any sense at all.
Sure. Okay.
So that's really how the vault works. I'll guarantee you down the road somewhere we'll be releasing Bourbon Bone with dragon scales again. It'd be a nice kind of nostalgia as we enter year 5, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's just it. You know, who was it? I believe it was when I was I did my little pocket talk with Mark Pocket Razors. And we were talking, and he's like, how long has RoseCraft been around? And I'm, at first I'm like, 1 second, Andy. All right, sorry about that, guys. Everything going on. But okay. Where were we?
So we were finishing up talking about the vault and that kind of thing, and what comes in and goes out. But I know you want to talk about seconds so bad.
I do. I really do want to talk about seconds. I absolutely do, because, and we've definitely talked about it. You and I have talked about it. I've talked about it with many, many, many people. When you say second, is it really? No, I know it is. I know it is when it comes to your guys' QC and everything. I know it is. So I mean, can you just kind of give us a brief or whatever about how you come to a second?
Okay, so when we get every knife in, we literally open up every single knife. So that's a process where we sit down with every knife that's there, and we literally open every single box. We unwrap it. We check the outsides. We give it a shine on the outside to make sure there are no scratches on the bolsters, no scratches on the back springs, no gapping, that there are no cracks in bone if that's the case, that there are no, we've had everything from like a halo that appeared around a shield kind of thing as a cosmetic thing.
Okay.
On blades, we're looking for scratches in blades or chips in blades. The thing about our seconds is you're never going to get a defective knife from us. In other words, I'm going to try to give you a knife that works, but does not meet our first quality. So if it's hard to tell what you're seeing, keep this in mind. It's as if somebody went over their knife that they got that was brand new with a loop, and they looked across the whole thing, and maybe it had one small scratch in the bolster. That's not a first to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's damaged. It's a second quality. And I'll tell you flat out, I put a lot of these in a second pile, and we're going to try some things because at some point somebody must have set a group of them together and scratched bolsters.
Oh.
Okay. So I don't like that. I want you to have a fresh, clean, pretty new knife that works. And I know that this last time that we did it, we broke them apart into mechanicals and cosmetic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that threw a lot of people off. And it was
Yeah.
just really a way to differentiate between the way something looks and the way something works.
Okay.
It doesn't mean the knife is not going to function properly. It's just going to be not quite to first quality. And if that means there's a blade wobble, if when you do this, you can feel it move back and forth against that joint. Yeah, that's not a first quality knife. Does it really affect anything? Can you use that knife over and over again just fine? Yes, you can. It's not going to hurt a thing. If I get this knife and instead of this nice snap that I get right here and right there, it feels kind of mushy
Mm-hmm.
in that second stop. That's a second.
Okay.
So those are both mechanical issues that you might have in a knife. But honestly, I don't think we'll be doing it that way again. It will just be a second because it threw so many people off.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and honestly, you got, well, I sent you 3 this last time, right?
Right. And
And you could
I
not
still have
tell which.
one.
Yes,
And it
yes,
says
and
mechanical.
okay.
So I'm gonna open it up. I'm gonna open it up. Now, I know when I asked you this, if and I want to make sure I'm understanding what you told me correctly.
Mhm.
If the cosmetic is too cosmetic, do you call that a
Yes.
mechanical or multiple cosmetics make it mechanical? How did you describe that to me? I want to make sure I'm
So
clear on
so
that.
when so when we went through these, Jalynn ended up going back through all of the seconds a second time. And what she did was say, okay, there's a crack in this one, plus it's got a scratch on the bolster. There's a wobble in this one, plus it has this.
Hmm.
All of those became mechanical. So
Okay.
because we were
Okay.
discounting mechanicals more, anything that had like a double whammy to it got a mechanical listing, so it would be cheaper.
Okay. Okay.
And that was
That
the only difference. And then just a double whammy. We try to write what the thing is on there, and we got kind of this last round. You'll see we just wrote cosmetic or mechanical, and then you start looking at it and you go, "What is the problem? I don't know what it is, but it was marked mechanical, so it must be mechanical, and it's going out that way."
this one is marked mechanical.
Okay, I
It's
there's no
it's
wobble to it.
a
I bet it's wobble.
no.
No, really?
I'm not feeling wobble.
Okay.
I mean, granted, I'm sure you are much more in tune than I am, but I mean, I should be able to feel wobble if there is some, I would think.
Sure.
There
Yeah.
isn't.
No
There
mushy
isn't.
stops. Yeah, that was a little latent stop right there, and then it wants to not grab right there. It's just bad walk and talk.
Really? Now, I
Yep.
think when I showed it to you, see that gap there in the corner?
Yes. Yes. And that
Right
is
up
a
here.
gap
Right up
in the
here.
bone, um, in there. And we first started getting some of these, we started getting filler in those and said, no, 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 we are not doing that. It needs to be bone or pure bone. And if it didn't fill up that place, then you need to start over on that handle. So yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, we've seen it. It's Andy said it's slow. Okay, I'll grant you that. It's not bad whatsoever. I'll tell you that right now. Um, and we saw that little gap up there.
Yeah.
That makes it a mechanical second,
Yes.
and it ends up being discounted, what, 30 to 40%? Is that what you said?
Yeah. About that. About that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Our seconds were a little bit higher this time because I didn't feel like we had the same kind of problems we had in the first round.
Okay.
Also, I think a lot of people need to bear with us just a little bit. You know, success brings growing pains,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
you have to start in a market somewhere,
Hmm.
and then you adjust to what the right prices should be. And we had to do that over the first year. We had to get into the market at a certain place, and you really guess at what it's going to be,
Sure.
and then you realize, okay, inflation has driven shipping up.
Oh,
Inflation
yeah.
has driven the price of bone up. Inflation has driven even the cost of labor up in China. I don't know if most people know this or not, but China is, I'm not trying to sing praises of China, but China is starting to pay workers more to avoid some issues. So labor went up. And so you bring your stuff into line as to where it should be in the market. And that happened with our seconds as well. I mean, I'm giving you a good, solid working knife that's marked as a second. You know it's a second. Um, it is not defective in a manner that would stop you from using it every single day. I mean, Scab could have cut rope and sandblast hose with what you have in your hand for 40 days just
Yeah.
fine on
Yeah.
that knife, and it would not have any problems at all. So,
Okay. Other than what we discussed with that knife, there's nothing wrong with that knife. You know
okay,
what I mean?
okay,
You know what I
I
mean?
do, I
But
do.
it doesn't meet your standard.
It does not.
It
It
does
does
not
not.
meet your standard. And
No,
I think you are gaining tons of respect for that in the way you do QC,
yeah.
and I mean, that just it goes to prove the pride that you take in your product.
I want to give somebody something that is A, brand new,
Hmm.
B, that is as close to the vision that I had for the product or whoever had for the product, whether that be Swags, Chase, Hawkins, or myself. And I want it to be clean. I don't want you to, have to, flush out dirt and other crap on the inside of it. I
Yeah.
don't want it to feel gritty when you use it. I
Right.
want it to be as close to perfect as possible. And, there's only so far you can go in the price range we're in.
Yeah.
But why not? Right? Why not? Why should I hand you a subpar knife when I can just put a tiny bit more work into it and make sure you don't see the ones that are jacked up?
Right.
Because I get some that are jacked up. That is that. That's what they are. You'll never see them.
I think that's
They're
par
not
for
going
the
on any
course.
second sale, and that's just the way it is.
Well, I mean, you sent me the one. I believe it was
Yeah,
Alicia
yeah. The one
Hatchie.
that sees.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm working on it. And now, no, you'll never see one like that. You will never ever
No,
see one like
no.
that come out. And I want we want to make people very, very aware
Sure.
of that. You will if you get a second, it's gonna be like this, where yeah,
Right.
you could probably tell if you look hard enough, but
Yeah. And that one specifically I sent for you to see if you could get it moving.
yeah.
And that issue in and of itself, the seizing in the blade,
Mm,
was an issue that we worked out with the factory in round one. We
okay.
said we want a hard pull, but it cannot be pinned so tight
Right.
that when there is no oil, it begins to seize.
Right.
So that's where we got with that, and we just got a little bit stronger with the back strings and made for a good pull on this kind of thing versus materials that are happening. Um, for sure, I can't wait for people to get these.
Oh,
Hold on just a second. Yeah, I got a screen.
there we
You
go.
got me again?
I got you.
Yeah. Phone call came in. Now I'm working on a I've lost my train of thought. No, we've got stag coming, which is red deer stag. We've got all those different woods coming, from
Mhm.
sandalwood, redwood to rosewood, those kind of things coming in. Playing with some other handle materials. I was surprised at how many people love the stacked G10 that was in the Cane Creek Jack.
Yeah.
That thing moved right along, and we'll probably do some more of that in the future. I just want to keep offering different things that people might like to have. I will tell you flat out, bone is the hardest thing to work with, and that's because bone has intrinsic issues that are part of the issue, part of the problem. So it chips, it dries, it
Yeah.
cracks.
Yeah.
It if you don't get the dye quite right, it doesn't look right. If you get too much oil in it, you have a tendency to bleed out from a pin on dyed bone, especially the way we're dyeing bone, so that you can actually see the bone more that it's like a stain than it is like a full solid color.
Sure.
Um,
Okay.
so excited about those kind of things. I can't wait for the stag to come in. And by the way, we haven't even touched on the idea that round 4 is on its way. It'll be here starting at the end of the summer. So
Nice.
round 4 knives will come in probably
Very
starting
cool.
at the end of June, beginning of July. And then round 5 is in prototyping right now. I should have my samples on those in the next few weeks. And those will probably come in around Christmas or first of the year. So get your
Nice.
money ready.
Yeah. Yeah, Andy. Thanks. My bank account. Thanks you. No, and I have to say, you guys have been very, very good. As far as me, like as an ambassador or affiliate, whatever you want to call it. You've been really awesome getting stuff out. Like I said, the mail USPS does what it does, or else I'd have a nice smoky gray Barlow here to show you. But um one of the things that a question I get often, and we can go as deep or not at all if you want, but I think there's a slight bit of confusion out there with some people about, I've had comments about, obviously you've worked with Artisan in the RPM 9 steel.
Yes, yes.
People they're mixing up the traditionals with Artisan just because of the RPM 9 steel. Can you
Yeah,
can you kind
sure.
of clarify that up a little bit?
100% I can clear that up for you. We have modern knives and we have traditional knives, and I consider those categories. In the future, we will have more than those two categories. We'll have fixed blades and we'll probably have something else. Hint, hint. But they're different factories completely. So the moderns
Yeah.
are all coming from anything you see, or most everything you see, especially in round 2, came from Artisan. And if it has RPM 9, it did come from Artisan.
Mhm,
They do our OEM work on most of our moderns.
mhm.
That might change a little bit in the future. Well, who knows at this
Right,
point?
right.
And I'll step back to that RPM 9 question here in a minute, because I think there's a lot of people still confused about what's going on since the Knife Nerds,
Yeah, yeah,
Knife Steel Nerds video came out.
yeah.
And believe me, I was confused too, and on the in an email immediately. So, um, Artisan makes those. We have a whole other factory that makes traditional. They're not connected in any way.
Right.
And what I think people get confused about with China, and they think they know, but they don't know. China is very, very secretive about where things are being made unless you contract with a specific factory, like we did with Artisan.
Mhm.
So we have an agent whose only job is to find the right factories for us. And they don't tell us the factory. We do all of our business through the agent so that they
Oh,
get their
okay.
cut. So
Okay.
the bills get paid through them. So I can't say specifically which factory by name is making traditionals. All I know is I have a good agent who is hooking me up with a great factory, and we are producing quality work in that way. On the modern side, we have Artisan, and we also have another agent. And so that's totally separate from the traditional side.
Right.
And
Right.
again, this agent is going to represent multiple factories and try to fit us where we fit best,
Got it. Okay.
and where we can get the kind of
And I
stuff.
mean,
Uh,
I was pretty we've talked about that quite a
yeah,
bit, but I believe there is still some confusion about that out there. That's just kind of why I wanted to touch on that
I don't think
a little
Artisan's ever
bit.
made a traditional knife that I'm aware of. They may have made
Like
a
a
slip
true
joint piece of it.
traditional?
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Oh,
And it's a totally different game.
I don't
It,
think
it
so.
is a totally different game from making a modern knife.
Right. Yeah,
So.
absolutely. Absolutely. So you said you wanted to touch on the RPM 9 thing.
So I saw the video just like the rest of you for the first time, and I of course have done business with Artisan, and we do carry knives that have RPM 9 steel. When I saw the video, I was shocked and immediately got on the phone with our agent from Artisan,
Hmm.
or not on the phone, but I got into an email and said, "Hey, you guys need to tell us what this is. I was sold that it was this. I have sold it as it was this. What
Hmm.
is it and what is different?" Now, I think they did a great job in their response. I don't know if
Do
you've seen
too.
it or not,
Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
they did a fantastic job of talking about how the interpretation system between their marketing and what actually was being produced was lost somewhere in the translation, and probably an overzealous marketing team at the same time came up with a neat name and didn't quite think it through in the way they should. But it is a spray steel. It is not a powdered metallurgy. And so you're still getting some very strong qualities. I think that Knife Steel Nerds put it up somewhere around 9 CR, which is a nice, good, strong steel. And I have used RPM 9 over and over again. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
It holds an edge a hell of a long time. It sharpens up pretty darn easy.
Yep.
And I like it. But yeah, I was confused as everybody else. Hey, well, this is not what they said it was. Well, what is it? And I
Right.
think they've responded to that, at least to my satisfaction, that I can continue selling the product and not worry about it. Is it an S35 VN? No, it is not.
Right. Right.
Yeah, but I don't think it was ever built as an S35 VN.
And me as a consumer, because that's what I am. I'm a consumer. And if you are satisfied with what you have, what you use, and like I said, I've used it quite a bit. I've never had an issue with it. It's always held an edge, like you said, for a pretty decent amount of time. Sharpens up very easily. There again, I am a huge proponent of stropping.
Hmm.
So if you strop your knife when you're done using it, or at the end of the day, or whatever, or every other day, whatever, um, you'll
You keep it nice and
great
aligned. Yeah.
you'll greatly increase the longevity of your blade, so you
Yes.
don't have to sharpen so much. That's it just makes sense to me, you know?
Right. Right.
Um, and yeah, I've never had an issue. Never had an
Right.
issue with it.
Right.
So if from me, from a consumer standpoint, and also knowing you and the type of person you are, we just talked about your seconds and all that stuff. If you're satisfied, I'm satisfied.
Good.
Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense, and I appreciate that. I was taken aback when I first heard it. I won't
Sure.
lie to you.
Absolutely.
And one of our good friends in the industry, Dave Galati, actually passed that information on to me, and I watched the video
Hmm.
immediately as he passed me that info. And yeah, no, I saw red right in the beginning. I won't lie, I saw red, and I
Sure.
immediately got in touch with our person at Artisan. And they were forthright with me straight from the beginning. We are going to have a response to this. It should cover everything, and yada yada. So I waited for that, and it wasn't a day or two after that I got the response. And to me, it was satisfying enough, and knowing that the blade works the way it should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
you've got your use history from it as well.
yes,
So, I
yes.
mean, and yeah.
No, I mean, I'm sitting there tearing apart boxes repeatedly with a knife that sits by the counter where we unpack Amazon boxes. It's RPM 9. I rarely sharpen it. It's
Yeah.
covered in goo,
Yeah.
and it still takes down boxes, no problem whatsoever.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, I've never, but I do appreciate you taking a minute to kind of clear that up
Sure.
and going through. So, all right. Well, we've talked about the major points that I wanted to hit. Is there anything else you want the folks to know about? Oh, you know what? I'm not going to answer that. I won't ask that question, but I'll let you kind of take a minute and just what can we expect from RoseCraft blades coming up? We talked about it a little bit.
Yeah. So you're going to, in round 4 of traditionals, which is on its way and it's in production right now, you're getting a moose, a muskrat, a trapper. Um, oh my goodness, I've lost my other 2 knives. A teardrop.
Mm.
And there's one other one: a moose, a muskrat, a teardrop, a trapper. Oh my gosh, I've lost the other one. There's a 5th model. We tried to go at all of those. It's been so long since I did it. I think people don't. I think people have trouble understanding how the industry works. In that I was done with these months ago, right? You know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they went and got prototyped 8 months ago, 10 months ago, more than that probably. And
Yeah.
now I'm just waiting at this point for them to start coming in. So
Sure.
I forget all the things that are coming, but um, there are lots of great knives coming in round 4. I had all these people clamoring for real traditionals, and you're going to see that in this round 4. So the moose, the muskrat, the
Mm-hmm.
trapper, the teardrop. They're knives that people know and love. 3 two-bladed knives in there.
That's what I was gonna
Good
say.
God.
We're seeing some more multiple bladed knives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then round 5, I'm going all single blades again.
No, you know me.
I
I
am.
do.
I'm dead
I
serious.
prefer.
I'm dead serious.
I prefer a single bladed knife. That's just me. That's my personal. You
I
know.
think that people our age and lower tend to like a single bladed traditional more than they like a two bladed traditional. I just think that's generally true. So Gen X and down, I think that we are so used to single bladed knives just in general that it only makes sense to have a single bladed traditional. And so I don't think we like those others quite as much. But to that collector out there who has a growing moose collection or a muskrat collection and that kind of thing,
Sure.
then they want to see those patterns.
Sure.
I am impressed by the teardrop in this in round 4 because you get so much blade for the actual handle that it's in, and it's a fat spear point like you guys love so much.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice. Well, I mean, and there. I mean, just to go back to the Nullichucky real quick. That's just a damn sexy blade right there. I'm sorry, it is.
Thank those old guys at IXL. That knife
Yeah.
comes right out of an old IXL catalog. It couldn't be closer. Um, I might have fattened up that spear point just a little bit because I like them fat there on the end.
Mm.
But it is what it is. There was a reason those knives were made and those knives sold. And I don't care anybody who's out there, they'll talk about, oh, you stole that knife design. It doesn't work that way in traditional knives. Everybody made the same patterns. As soon as somebody came out with a new pattern, everybody else was making that pattern too if it
Yeah.
sold. It just
And see, we talk
go
about
ahead.
that. We talk about that quite a bit, right? You
Yeah.
know, because you say, "Oh, that knife looks," in the modern world, "Oh, that knife looks like so and so." That look, and it is not that way at all in traditional knives because a Barlow is a Barlow, a trapper is for the most part.
Yes.
I don't. I mean, it just is.
Yeah, yeah. No, they are. Everybody had just tiny differences
Yeah.
in how they
Yeah.
did them.
Sure.
And custom makers do some really cool stuff with what you know is a traditional pattern.
Sure.
And I've been known to throw some curveballs into some patterns out there just to see what they do, like the clinch river swayback, getting a finger choil. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a traditional swayback down to its size, down to its blade length, everything. It just gets a finger choil.
Mm,
So
mm.
I love the idea that these knives served as work knives for hundreds of years, long before anybody heard of an axis lock or a liner lock or a thumb stud or any of that stuff. Grandma, grandpa, everybody, they went to work, they carried a traditional slip joint in the pocket, and that's what they did their work with. A muskrat gets 2 identical blades because the farmer in the field, wants to use up one blade and not have to go back and sharpen it up.
Mhm.
He has an identical blade at the other end to use right in the knife. And like, I just even get into the fact that the patterns were designed for the task at hand,
Oh, oh yeah.
right? So those evolve. So you watch a cattleman's knife become a slimmer stockman, become a medium stockman, or a small stockman. It's designed for the task and the person and the what they're doing and who they are in mind. And I just think that's fascinating. Uh,
Oh, one that comes to mind right off the bat, the cotton sampler.
yes, yes, yes. And historically, if you look back, there are 2 different kinds of cotton samplers. That's the
Oh,
cool thing out there. You have one that's almost a fat cleaver and has a little bit of an extension from the
okay,
blade,
okay.
from the bolster. So it has just so the cotton sampler that most of us know, it looks like a pregnant spay blade.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and then
absolutely.
it has that little wedge space where supposedly you were supposed to be able to do something with it
Right,
and
right.
sample cotton.
Yeah,
Um, the other ones had fat handles, so it had an easy grip in your fist like so, and then it had almost a cleaver blade and just had a tiny bit of that
Okay, I don't think
after the
I've
blade.
seen that version. I
Yeah,
do
I'll
not
have to
believe
send you
I've
a
seen.
picture of that. So
Yeah, I do
that
not believe I've
that's
seen
a
that
cool
version.
little process, and you might see an amalgam or a combination of that in round 5 as a cotton sampler from RoseCraft blades. You might,
Mm, might,
you
might.
might.
Hashtag maybe it's a teaser. There you go. There you go. Right, right.
Uh,
Very, very
it's
cool.
fun. I love when people bring me old patterns that they want to see come back. And I know you and I have talked about a folding pattern before and some knives, and it just every knife speaks to people differently. People like what they like. I'm shocked at the hate love relationship that the Ocoee River kayak has. You either love that knife or you hate it. And people who use it as a utility knife and carry it daily love it.
Hmm.
And people go, that's
Hmm.
the weirdest looking thing I've ever seen. Why is that funky blade on that nice canoe looking knife? And they don't. And different parts of the country, when we go to Blade Show in Atlanta, they did not particularly care for the Zambezi. But when we got out west, I sold all my Zambezis right away.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And I mean, I guess, okay, let's go back. Let's go back to the cotton sampler, right? A knife
hmm
like that would probably do better in the South, where more cotton is or was grown, than somewhere
sure,
up here in the Pacific Northwest, where they don't do that. So, I mean,
exactly.
I guess that makes sense. I
Yeah,
guess it makes sense to a point.
yeah. And
But
so I
yeah,
think the funny part of that whole story is, like, historically speaking, everybody thinks of the trapper. Everybody knows a trapper, and a
right.
trapper was literally made as a marketing knife. It was not. It was not taken from the fields as, old hunter trapper guy. It didn't come out of. It didn't grow out of any of that whatsoever. It is a marketing. It was an idea somebody had to market a knife as a trapper's knife.
That's interesting.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Yes. Is it handy as heck? Yeah, it is, because that spade blade, hundreds, if not thousands or tens of thousands of people have skinned out a squirrel with a spade blade. So,
Speaking of specific use, spade blade.
yes, for sure.
I've had people ask me,
Yeah,
what's a spade blade? Well, it
it's
tells
exactly
you
what it
it
says.
tells you right in the name what it is. So,
Rocky Mountain oysters.
well, I'm still never tried. Have you?
No, I haven't. I haven't. But every time I think of the movie Funny Farm, where he goes, "Not too many people have a taste for lamb testicles anymore."
Oh
I
God.
will refrain from the next line, which is about how you have to cut them to get them right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, for sure. But hey, I've always kind of wanted to, but somebody would have to trick me, I think.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Like, I'll try anything just about once, unless it'll kill me because I'm allergic to shellfish. I'll try just
Oh,
about anything
yeah.
once, but I can't. There's got to be a texture issue there. There's got to be.
Well, for me, I think it's just completely mental. It's just a mental
Yeah,
block. Because I was the
gotta.
same way with tongue, right?
Yeah.
I was the same way with tongue. People talk about I'm like, until one night at work, we had a slow period at work, and one of the guys said, "Hey, I'm gonna bring in the fixins and I'm gonna make tacos tomorrow
hmm
night." Okay, cool. So he did. He made his tacos. Damn, those were good tacos.
Tongue.
After it was all said and done, he's like,
Uh-huh.
you realize that was tongue, and I'm like, it was the moistest piece of
Really,
roast beef I'd ever eaten. It was
I've always
absolutely fantastic.
I've always heard it was chewy.
No, not what we had. It was
Yeah.
roast. I mean, it was just falling apart. It was like a roast
Yeah.
beef. And
Wow.
he's like, now, of course, the process to get it to that point, you got to boil it for like 3 or 4 hours to get the off of it. But yeah, yeah. Once you get past that point,
That's
some good
me and
stuff.
chicken livers. I love fried chicken livers. It's a very southern thing, but I
Ugh.
love fried chicken
What
livers.
about
And my
gizzards?
wife does exactly. I've never had a gizzard, so that just seems like it would be a lot to chew.
Oh, they're
Considering
chewy as all get out.
they're
Oh no.
swallowing rocks and using that gizzard to mash up meal and all of that, right?
Oh.
I'm pretty sure that's the way that process works. But
Mm-hmm.
chicken liver fried and cooked like
No.
chicken. Oh,
No. No.
my wife does the exact same thing you're doing right now.
I don't like any type of liver. It's just no, thank you. I mean, I've tried it. Don't get me wrong.
Yes,
That's one thing
yes,
I have tried. I've
yes.
been to the point. And no, we never have to have that again.
Weirdest thing I've ever tried was elephant jerky, and that came directly from Africa from somebody who just went on a big game hunting trip. And apparently, there are places that you can take a certain type of elephant, but they keep you as the trophy. You would keep the head, but they make jerky out of the rest of the meat, and it feeds tribes for a year off of one elephant. It is the nastiest, grittiest thing I have ever put in my mouth, and I did not
Mm,
know it until after I was chewing it. What it was,
mm, yeah.
elephant jerky. And that was odd.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
How did we
I
get to
don't know.
here?
I don't know. I don't know. But I can see stuff coming here, and I know it's gonna. I have a feeling it's gonna start getting fairly noisy here. So,
Right.
I mean, we've been going for quite a while, almost
Yeah.
pretty close to an hour and a half, I think. I think we're probably gonna call it here, just so noise
Sounds good to
and
me.
everything. But um, any, give us some final words, Andy. Give us some final words.
If you would have told me in 2021, when I sat down to have a lunch with William Rose that lasted 7 hours, that we would be to where we are in this business in 2024, I would have not believed you. I would have not, I would have told you you were crazy.
Yeah.
I would have told you that there is no way we could go to a show way out west and most people know what our name of, know who we were as a
Right.
company that walked up to the booth. I just would have never known it. I just am humbled by the response to our traditionals, and we're just going to keep trying to do our best to make the best knives that we possibly can. We're going to keep trying to back them as good as we can, and by that I mean if you don't like it, send it back to us. We'll replace it. It just is what it is. We're humans. We're going to make mistakes, but when we make mistakes, we're going to try to make it right.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
it is humble. It's been a humbling experience so far, and I keep hoping that it just keeps continuing to go the way it is, and just get better and better. And I'm
Well,
very happy we are. Very thankful for all of you all out there.
well, I can tell you from my standpoint, and I'm pretty sure well, I know there's a lot of people out there that echo what I am about to say, but I mean, you guys have built this. You guys have made RoseCraft what it is. I mean, other than the obvious, you are RoseCraft, but we've already talked about, your standards, what you consider a quality knife. And that all comes from you, and people are they've really gotten to know you. They really trust that. I believe there has to be, a level of trust in what they're going to see from RoseCraft. And um you guys have done a fantastic job of building that relationship and building RoseCraft to what it is. And I commend you for that, because you guys have done an absolutely fantastic job.
Thank you so much for that. I appreciate those words. Well, let me dispel a couple other myths while we have this open space like we do, because I
Go
think
for
there are some myths that people believe that are just so not true.
it. Okay.
There are six of us. Six of us. That's it. There are six employees at RoseCraft. That's it. If your knife has been checked, it's probably been wrapped back up by me. So if the paper is weird looking when you get it, it's my fault. I apologize. I sometimes can fold them really good. Sometimes I fold them really bad. It just depends on how many hundred I've been through in the same day, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's just, it is what it is. There's six of us, and we all, several of those have other jobs within the umbrella company that we work for. So it we work our butts off to try to do the best we can. Hopefully we'll grow, but we're increasingly having some growing pains. And which hopefully we'll get those figured out. I mean, we've had to increase minimums here in the last 6 months
Yeah.
just to keep up.
Yeah.
And that will continue to happen that way. The other myth that I wanted to dispel more than any other out there is, JB, what size is the check that I send you for your ambassadorship?
Oh, dude. Well, I'm getting gutters put on the house, so I mean, it's
It's the big
guys,
old zero.
guys. You know what my check is? It's this right here. Getting the opportunity to see an absolutely fantastic knife, maybe before it goes public, maybe not. It
I'm gonna start
happens.
priority mailing yours.
No, it's all good. Don't, not even. Th- that's what I get out of this. That is what I get out of this. I have a coupon code with RoseCraft Blades. BigRedEDC. You guys get 10% off. Again, this is what I get. I get the opportunity to see a fantastically made traditional knife. That's what I get out of the deal.
And do I tell you how to talk about that knife when you show
No,
it?
absolutely not.
Good.
Absolutely not. And trust me, like the one, I forget, it was either on a live stream or what. I was thinking it was closer to 50% off
Yeah.
on the seconds, and you go, they're more like 30 to 40% off. Trust me, if I don't do it intentionally, but
Right.
he does not tell me no. No, no, no. I'm going to give you my honest opinion about a knife. And going back to that trust issue, I I have no worries that when Andy sends me a knife, other than when he sends me a second and I can't figure out what the problem is on a second, if it's a first production knife, I have no doubt in my mind that it's going to be an absolutely fantastic knife and I'm going to love it. And yeah.
No, I mean, I trust you to give your honest opinion, and I know that you take time and show every little bit of a knife, and I love that about your channel. I've said that to you a million times.
Mhm.
Does it get monotonous sometimes and tedious for me to watch it again and again? Yes, but whatever. People love that about your show. You show them the whole knife. You
Try
show them
to.
every bit of that knife, and you're honest about it.
Mhm.
And I've heard you many, many times, even about our knives. Do I wish it was a little bit longer here for the size of my hand? Yes. And that's fair. That is
Yeah.
honest. And that's what I appreciate. There's a little bit of a myth out there, I think, that's been circulating in the last few months that somehow we just blanket the knife community with knives and uh, send money or tell you what to say. And I can be dead honest with you, up until 3 months ago, when was Blade Texas? Up until then, I had 7 ambassadors, and now I have 13 because I had to make some deals out there with some of our qualified dealers to keep
Mm.
them on board.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Up until now, I was sending out 7 to 8 knives, and some to people who don't even can't even talk about knives. Our good friend Ryan Shaner, one big pikey. He mostly does shots and stuff on
Oh,
TikTok, and there's a knife
yeah.
he gets in trouble. So, but I still send Shiner a knife anytime he wants one. He's a good friend of the channel. He's a
Absolutely.
good friend of the business and the rest of that. He's a great guy. But let's dispel those myths. We're 6 people working our butts off. We have people that we love in the community, and we send them knives, and we let them talk about them however they want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I am greatly appreciative of that. And well, we've worked together prior to RoseCraft.
Yep.
We've worked together as RoseCraft. I mean, you guys have been absolutely awesome to work with. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate everything you guys have done helping the channel. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's my it's my pleasure to be able to hopefully bring, maybe with every release, I bring one or two more people to
Mm-hmm.
RoseCraft and introduce them to RoseCraft. It is truly my pleasure to be able to do that.
And guys, read the comment sections because
Yeah.
JB has great comment sections.
Oh,
There are sometimes full blown conversations that happen
oh yeah.
beneath videos, and it's great. He likes to answer back to you. I think that's so super important. You've built your own little knife community, and they respect your opinion, but they're also there to have a lot of fun. And
Oh,
and that,
that's
bingo,
that's what
bingo.
it boils down to. If we're
Yep,
not having fun, we don't need to be doing it.
yep. Well,
So
I'll let you get your gutters hung.
yeah, they're like I said, I'm seeing the evidence that it's gonna get noisy here. But
I
Andy,
don't hear any more sawing in the other room, so I'm just wondering if there's a hole in the wall now.
oh yeah. Yeah, I have heard nothing coming from your end, so that's awesome. That's awesome. he's a quiet, hopefully he's quiet yet effective worker. There we
Yes,
go.
yes, yes.
But
Well, I appreciate you having me on, JB, for sure. And anytime you want me back, just let me know.
we will absolutely do that. I appreciate your time today. Thanks again. Looking forward to seeing you guys at Blade Show for sure.
Come get your challenge coin from me.
All right, will do. Thank you so
Take care.
much, Andy. Have a good day, my friend.
Take it easy, brother.